So.
Yeah, and see, it's so much easier for them to laugh like these silly.
Yes.
When they do all
Right.
Yes, we know, we are for the plant, we are for him.
That's the thing, it's recorded.
There's gonna be more violence.
Excuse me.
Public Health meeting to order. Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, 6:38 PM. Roll call.
Councilmember Cranford,
Here.
Councilmember Hornick,
Here.
Vice Mayor Nen,
Here.
Mayor Amaruso.
Here.
Thank you, we have a quorum.
Can we please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and now we need approval for City Council special meeting agenda. January 14th, 2025.
I motion to approve the special meeting agenda for January 14th, 2025.
Thank you. I'll second. Roll call please.
Councilmember Cranford,
Aye.
Councilmember Hornick.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nen,
Aye.
Mayor Amaruso.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so special meeting public comment. We have two people that want to speak, Keith White and Mary Ann Ackerland. So who wants to come up first?
White, citizen Plymouth. Of course, I want to address kind of the whole agenda as a whole. This is a pretty tough meeting for you guys, being your second meeting. And not that I have knowledge on the subject, but a little bit of knowledge. But I want you to also think that there's two things that you can see. I've seen a lot of posts on social media saying that, you know, it's democratic for the citizens to vote on these appointed spots. And I believe in that. I do believe in that somewhat. But I also believe in the fact of each one of you were voted in as constituents of our city, representative of the people of our city, representative of the thoughts and the ideas of our city. So with saying that, one of the things that I know when I campaigned, I want my council to be fiscally responsible. So there's a other side of that knife. I think I know you guys can't answer any questions, but I think this is just something to digest. I think it was well advertised that letters of interest for the spot came open. I think you guys are blessed to have three candidates tonight that I think any one of the three could do a wonderful job for you guys. So with those three candidates, I would imagine that if it did come down to a special election, they would run for the spots too. So I think you guys are the representation of the voters. I don't think it's fiscally responsible to make this go to a special election. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mayor Ann Russo and council, good to see you all. Mary Ann Ackerland, resident of Plymouth. And I also share what Keith White just said, or agree with what he said as far as what I can hear. But I do encourage you all to make a decision as far as making an appointment, deciding amongst you who you feel like would be the best to appoint in the vacancy. I recall that when the council, a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when we adopted the policy addressing how to fill or how to deal with unplanned vacancies, we came out with a policy. I don't remember there being any objection during public comment. I could be wrong, but I certainly don't remember anything. I think it was a pretty straightforward agenda item. I don't remember a public comment being presented, so I think it was pretty straightforward. But anyway, I encourage you to make the decision amongst yourselves. Avoid putting this out to a special election, because I think that's a necessary cost to the taxpayers. And even though it might only be between $11,000 or $18,000, that's still a lot of money for the city. I also want to say, as you know, I had the honor of serving on the council for the last 4 years. And I do want to tell you from personal experience that it was a pleasure to serve alongside Keith White. And whoever you select, you're gonna have to work with this person. And I just want to say that Keith was a pleasure to work with. Always open-minded, brings a lot of knowledge and experience to the position, but still open-minded, and just a pleasure to work with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
May I speak to?
You're muted.
Good evening, Michael Spinetta, Oxview, and I wanted to thank you all for dealing with this right at the very start of your tenure too, like you said. And I am a little excited and nervous tonight, actually. I have been for a couple of weeks, but the entire process of this election, as you know, I have been going over and learning so much about elections and reading so much about them, going all the way back to 1955 in this city itself, and reading all the outcomes. There's no reason for me to have done that, but it's interesting to me. And so it's something that's always interested me, but at the same time, I also contacted others to see if they would also apply for a treasurer position. And there are some great people in this city who have past experience and are just faithful to the area. And some decided not to, but it's really neat talking to them. So and I promoted the applications online for both positions. And I even saw that people who were against the way this is being done, they also promoted the same application system rather than going immediately to special election like they wanted. So, looks like it's inherent in everybody. And here's what I learned. Okay, I'm done anyway, right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Right, so we're doing a 4.1. Regular agenda items, 4.1, interview candidates, discussing and considering appointments to fill the vacancy of the city treasurer. So we are first candidate for treasurer, Mike Spinetta. Please, thank you. Oh, yeah, very good idea. So we had two candidates, and the second candidate withdrew, so we will be just interviewing Mike Spinetta tonight. I'm gonna start off with, what's your name?
My name is Michael Spinetta.
How long have you lived here?
I have lived here, oh boy, 15 years. Maybe longer.
What is your work?
I'm currently the performing arts coach for the Amador County Unified School District. And I am retired from farming as of last year, and I did that since I can remember at 4 years old, picking up rocks. Hell yeah.
What's your community involvement?
I have
Organizations, things that you're involved with.
organizations. I'm a lifetime member of the UCCE Master Gardeners. I stopped counting hours when I got to about 3,000 hours. And I've volunteered with kids at school all the way from TK to special ed to high schoolers. I kind of skipped a little bit over 7th and 8th graders because they're kind of scary sometimes. And but I still did clean up when we had a charter school up here. My family, the Molinellis and the Coopers had a charter school here in town that went for I think 6 or 7 years, and so worked on that and helped chair that for a year, and then picked up all the barbed wire off the grounds there and everything. And I've written dozens and dozens of articles about gardening with the kids. Here at Plymouth Elementary School, I landscaped all 4 acres of that school, including planting Christmas trees right on top of the mother lode vein that runs through there to see how long it would take them to break through. Took it 10 years, by the way. And because that is solid quartz. And worked on experiments with University of California, Davis for 2 years with the kids at the school, official experiments on plants and if they would grow in our environment up here. With Rotary right now, I'm very inspired by the leadership there. Jenny Lebanco is working on all these murals, and so all of a sudden I'm working on a lot of murals. It's just one of those things. I kind of go where it is, and I've always helped out at the fair every year. I judge the art there, and I've judged plant growing there when kids did that and helped them get there. There's probably a lot of stuff I'm forgetting, so I've done it.
Excellent.
Yes.
And do you plan on residing in Plymouth long term?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to the next point. We're gonna work off of a list of questions. We'll each ask you 2 questions, and you can take your time on answering it, not get to rush through it, So I'll start off with, why do you want to be city treasurer?
I have a long-term interest in the way things are run with our local government. I helped even push through M&O measures this year. I put my name on those. Because I've gone to League of Cities meetings. I read their stuff online when I'm nerding out on reading things like that. I'm interested to see a position that might just be reporting, but at the same time, I want to know about treasurers in other cities, and I'm already kind of curious about contacting them and talking to them and just seeing how things are done in other cities and going to their meetings and seeing what the treasurers do. It's already piquing a curiosity in me. And frankly, I've worked on getting money attracted to the school district and dealing with the Prop 28 and using our school to pass that proposition. And I just, I organized a couple nonprofits at the elementary school here that dealt with managing money, and I'd like to see it on a real level as this works as a municipality. So I'm very, very curious. And I'd love to see how to manage it or what I do.
Thank you. What are some of the best practices for cash management?
Keeping a paper trail to start with, figuring out where your money is coming from, what it's for, what it can't be used for. If you're here in a government like this, because you can't just say, oh, you spent $5,000 here, it could have been used elsewhere. That's not necessarily true ever. And learning the history of how the cash has been used in the city, or where it is that you're working. Investment is what I'm pretty good at. Seeing if things are all at the right levels for the size of the business or organization that it's being used for. Right now I'm managing about $30,000 for our performing arts program just at Elmore High School. And so I'm figuring out where to dole all of that out and what best uses things can be for people in the long run. I'm doing a lot of long-term I'm doing spending that will affect long-term things right now, which I think is very important. I think short-term is more emergency if you need it that way. But anyway.
Mindy?
Hi, Mike. Thank you for coming tonight. What type of accounting and financial experience do you have?
Let's go back to my degree in college where I challenged the accounting program at CSU Chico and how it's being run. And a professor and I broke into a lot of the systems at the school to, one, test the firewalls, and two, track a lot of ways money was being managed. And yes, I will say that on the record. Because it was fine to do. I had a professor helping me. And because and we found some things and I wrote them into my thesis. And a lot of us helped improve the accounting program that was going on in Chico State at the time. And we created a lot of new classes in both business and the arts. I ended up with a special major in human resource management and marketing and arts, and some of my classes were developed into theme classes later that dealt with business. I also had the second working promotional website in this county, and I think Soapbox were the first working website. Go back to the question. I got a little off. Thank you.
That's okay. You want me to repeat it?
Just, yeah.
Okay, it's what type of accounting and financial experience do you have?
Right. So again, correcting an accounting program so it would work better to educate people. So I understood the fundamentals of accounting in order to make it a better school in the business program at Chico State. And that's, I think, probably my biggest contribution.
Okay, for my second question, tell us 3 things that you look for to assess the financial health of an organization. You can take your time and think about it if you need to.
The financial health of the organization?
3 things that you would look at to assess the financial health.
The easy answer is balance sheets and taxes. That's why I have a CPA too, so it's not like I can do all of it on my own.
Right.
But yeah, hire the right people to do the right things. I think look to see again how the management, how much of their own personal investment they're putting into the business, and how much time leadership is putting in versus what they're giving out to their underlings, and to what the output of the employees and things are, and just kind of looking to see if everything is taken out correctly, almost subjectively through objective numbers. If it's a business organization, look to see if, if their promotions, this is where kind of my specialty was if they're paying off. And if they're promoting the right way, there are a lot of wrong ways to do things. And I can sense it through advertisement and sense when people are promoting wrong. Even when they're promoting themselves incorrectly. I think that you have to also see if growth, there's a point of return where you can grow too much and fall apart, or you can do nice steady growth. I think that's a really important part of a business. Otherwise you will explode if you try to, like, let's say you have a bakery, like, oh my gosh, I'm so successful, I'm gonna go open one up in another city, and now I'm gonna open another, you're gonna fall apart. You're gonna mismanage yourself, and I just slow, good, steady growth that's reasonable. Once you're beyond reasonable, that's it. I hope that was 3 things.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
In your opinion, what is the role of a city treasurer in strategic planning?
I think I know about that. This is where I've kind of where I want to learn, and then this is where, if you want to say one of my weaknesses is I don't know the full role of the city treasurer. I know the financer role probably more than treasurer. And I haven't seen it here when I'm at meetings. So locally, I don't know, but again, that's why I'm going to go out and ask other cities and jump on it while I'm in the process. So that's would be my weakness there.
No worries. What is your method for forecasting future financial trends?
In what kind of market or aspect or what?
Well, current situation, for example, with the loss of, say, the Shenandoah Inn and everything else that's happening in Fair City, for example.
Sure, or down in Ione where 4 businesses went out of business in 1 month in December. Yeah, that's even why I asked if you were talking about or when sort of the planner was talking about the senior homes going in possibly, will that attract money to the city? The TOT loss from the Shenandoah Inn being closed, where can we put more housing or not housing, but hotels, motels in this city? That would be difficult right now, but I would say because I've read up on everything in the city for years, and seeing like where projects are being kind of slowed down and what is stopping them. Like the project out by the gas station that's supposed to go in there. That would bring a lot of little businesses right there on the corner and possibly stop people there and have them walk into town by parking in that huge parking lot. I think what I look at is how fast are things getting approved logically. Because I know government is supposed to be slow, but things have to get approved too in order to go forward. And no one's going to do everything perfectly and to the letter of the law all the time. There's going to be forgiveness, there's going to be punishment, whatever, and we'll deal with things back and forth. But my God, just having good neighbors will make things go forward faster too. I guess if that's kind of answers that.
That'll suffice for me, thank you.
Janetta, tell me, what types of investments have you managed and what was your strategy for increasing those
Okay, when I created Pet Club as a legal organization at Plymouth Elementary School, made it into a nonprofit so people could have their tax write-offs and things like that. And everything was done correctly. At the same time, I also created another nonprofit dealing with selling items that we grew on all campuses at the farmers market here in Plymouth, and utilized the specific way that Rotary structured our thing differently, our farmers market differently. So I managed the money there, and thank God for everyone else on that club. And people who still run it today are still running it well. So I set up a good organization there. So currently, working under Megan O'Keefe at the Arts Council, started up under her umbrella a new part where people can donate to our performing arts club. So we have money both under the school district and money under the Arts Council, so separating money. So one organization can't touch it and vice versa. Dealing with consolidation and some monies that were promised through the arts programs, trying to get, right now, even I'm kind of having to evolve rather than working with kids, trying to get teachers to grab at the $70,000 per campus that we have from Prop 28 that I wish the district would promote and advertise more and get it out there. It would be so easy to do too. So I'm working on that right now, trying to attract funds and trying to get funds distributed that I might not even be in charge of, but because of my title, my gosh, it's, there's money that's out there, we can hire more people and hopefully make myself obsolete so I can go and, farm flowers and be a farmer again. But that's, I'm trying to set up new roles for people in our school district so they can get those things done. So anyway, I hope that made sense.
Okay. Describe your experience working with external auditors and other stakeholders.
That's something I'd have to learn too. Absolutely. Working with other stakeholders, again, different campuses and things like that, on a very simple level right now. I mean, it's basic, it's not a complex thing I'm doing right now. But stakeholders, I've invested and worked with my family on getting things done. So we had a successful business for 40 years, at least 40 years. And, we were all stakeholders in multiple businesses, from the winery to that my dad had and to the vineyards that we all worked in. As a partnership, restructuring them, investing in equipment and making things, following the market, cutting down vines when the market would change, and grafting on different things, and seeing when it's time to cut and run, and changing strategies, and when we all decided we were done and we had a successful business, kind of letting it go on a high note and letting it go to a great new family thing, not for the Dean Augustini's. Great people, and it's still helping them out too. All of us are helping them, and because they're the new stakeholders in it. And So, yeah, I'm very intimately aware of everything that was in all of our file cabinets.
Thank you. That's it. Closing comments.
Did you have two other questions that you didn't ask because you chose 8 out of 10?
We're only allowed to ask 2 each.
Darn.
That was the policy set forth.
Okay.
Might as well ask. So, do you have any closing statements, anything you'd like to?
Absolutely. I'm, the kids at school are kind of excited about this too. Actually, as you know, we had two of my students who were doing audio and video here for a couple of years. And so they've been texting me all day and kind of giving me a hard time. And then I'm just gonna go off topic and congratulate my daughter on starting her new job today as a teacher at St. Mary's in Slidewoods, sure. So she's not a full teacher yet, but she did start working with kindergartners today, so I'm really excited about that. So I'm very happy right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
So with that, we have the voting decision or push it off, whatever the council's desire. Go ahead. No, you don't believe it.
Would take a nomination.
Yeah.
If we wanted to.
So we. So I think
Sorry,
we-
can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah,
Sorry.
sure, go.
Can we have a minute to discuss amongst ourselves, or is that not an option?
Yes, it's agendized for discussion and possible appointment. That's how it's agendized.
Okay,
Okay, but before we go into that, I'd like to enter a public comment that I forgot to enter from Amy Gummins.
That is for 4.2.
Oh, it's number 2. Okay, my bad. So, I'll hold it. Okay, so.
So, should we discuss what our options are and then we can, and discuss where we can go here? We have one candidate.
I think the only option.
Your options would be to discuss the interview and discuss that, and you can make a nomination to appoint or choose to have another special meeting on the 30th to make an appointment, or hold off until February 13th to make an appointment. Or you can call for a special election, which would be in May, and an appointment wouldn't be until June. You could choose to appoint a staff member that lives within the city. Those would be your options at this point.
Okay, so as we discussed, we should turn our mics on. This is public discussion, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Well then I'll lead off with some comments, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
First, Mike, I just wanna thank you for being brave and putting in a letter of interest and taking the initiative to be interested in being treasurer for our city. I also wanna say that knowing Mike on a personal level, he's one of the smartest individuals I personally know. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that while his thoughts sometimes may be scattered in an interview, he has an uncanny ability to immerse himself into whatever the subject matter is. I've never met anybody like him as far as immersing himself into a subject matter and learning everything there is to know about it. I also know him to be a person of integrity and incredibly kind person, so, in my experience. So I see no reason, not to nominate him for treasurer. Heck, he wants the job, that's half the battle, right?
Right.
So, so, that would be my recommendation, I don't think he would let this city down, and he certainly will hold blame, feet to the fire on anything that's being done that's unjust,
Oh, yeah.
or not to meet the letter of the law.
Including on myself.
So, yes, including on himself, I do believe that, so, yeah, I would nominate Mike for this position, I have no problem with that.
Good. Yeah, Nick?
Yeah, I would just say, thank you for putting in, basically what Wendy said, that battle's getting people to put in for the position. And I'm glad you did. I don't have, I guess I have some questions more as the council members here about this. I don't have an issue with doing an appointment. I think the voters last fall voted pretty naturally that this position, at least, that they were in favor of it being an appointed position, so I don't think that's an issue there. My question is, now that it would be an appointed position, if the person, whether it was Mike or anybody, I'm just asking this in general, is not able to fulfill those duties, does the city have the power now to say this isn't working in that person in that position? By being an appointed position, if that person is unable to perform those duties, lack of knowledge or whatever, can we then remove them? And that's my understanding.
Yes, because the council is appointing him, the council would have the discretion to remove him from office.
Okay, that's what that's what I wanted some clarification on, because I think if we were talking like a council person, we don't have that, but this position we do.
Right, because he hasn't been elected,
Yeah,
he is being appointed
Yeah.
by the council.
Okay.
You would have that right.
That's why I included my last sentence on my statement I handed to you, that's exactly my last sentence.
and I did read your statement, it's just that, honestly, it's yesterday, I've been at work, so. Okay, I think that was my biggest question I had about this process.
I would also thank you again. It's not easy to step up when that sometimes seems to be the hardest thing to do, right? Being in the public eye and speaking publicly, let alone in front of a camera and other people, certainly. So thank you, and I would like to echo Wendy's sentiment on your character. I see you as a grant hunter. Your organizational skills are outstanding, and I know you to be a truth fact checker and digging for more info if you don't even know it. So I also do not have a single issue with this nomination for Mike Spinetta.
Knowing Mike the way I know Mike, I mean, I think Wendy kind of pretty much nailed it. I mean, yeah, I know him pretty intimately. I know, his abilities, and even to this day, there's at times when I'm like, oh, because we have these conversations, they go really deep. So-
Going down the rabbit hole.
No, it's just, I mean, not just deep about just everything, I mean, not just, life and just things, so, he has a really great ability to, again, when he grabs a hold of something, he's like a bulldog, and he doesn't like that. So I concur with everything that they've said, and I think at this point, yeah. Is that looking for a motion? Sounds like we have consensus.
I would like to make a motion to approve Mike Spinetta for the treasurer of the city of Plymouth.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Cranford,
Aye.
Councilmember Hornish.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Aye.
Mayor Amoruso.
Aye. Thank you, welcome.
Yeah.
Now you have something else to be happy about today.
I've known Mike since, we were Ward 5,
Yeah.
so, I'll agree with you guys.
Something to be a lot more stressed about than that, you're trying to sleep.
Okay. So. What we do? Yeah, we'll do that, let's see.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, 401. Done. 4.2, interview candidates discussing and consideration. Consider appointment to fill the vacancy of the city council. And I will enter into public comment a letter from Amy Jones. On 4.2. So,
Your first candidacy.
yes, so Keith, we.
Do I need to step out?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
sir.
need to step out, yes. We will retrieve you. No.
Just repeat the public
Go
comment.
ahead.
No, I don't, yeah.
We can comment.
Thank you, Marion.
You guys can stay. Well.
Yeah, you guys have no problem. Anyone else can stand, just the other.
Candidate.
Yep. Hello. Hello.
How are you guys?
Very good. Welcome. We're on fire squad. Just here, some questions.
Their questions as well.
Do I?
Their questions as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna start out, I have 5 questions, just to get a sense of who you are. Outside of, we read your letter, obviously, but, just to. Things I think were important to the council members to get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
And all candidates will be asked these same questions, so. And then we'll go from there into asking questions. We have 10 questions to choose from. We will each pick 2 off the list. And then basically, give you time to answer, take your time and answer however you feel, or then that will conclude the interview. So the first one, your name,
My name is Jacob Mustang.
this is for the record. And how long have you lived in Plymouth?
I've been in Plymouth since July of 22.
And where do you work or?
I do. I work full-time. I'm the chief information officer for the California Government Control Commission. I'm also the broker, owner of Silver Springs Real Estate Incorporated, also the broker for Lighthouse Beach Incorporated Real Estate, as well as I started a new one, Good Dog Real Estate Incorporated last year.
Nice. Community involvement, organizations, I think you've been involved with in the community, right, at large, anywhere in the county or anywhere,
Yeah. I've done a lot of pro bono work, representing, particularly people that can't afford to sell their houses at pro bono. I've also been involved in a lot of, kids' activities, sports for the kids, soccer, baseball, things of that nature. The swimming pool, last summer here in Plymouth. So I try to sponsor as much as that I can.
Nice. And then, what are your plans to reside long term in the city?
Well, I hope I can retire from here. I've got a long ways to go, but I hope I can definitely retire. Out of Plymouth. It seems like a really nice community. I love it here. My kids love it here. Made lots of friends, lots of acquaintances. I've visited every winery that has a tasting room, at least once. And just made a lot of connections there. I even started making wine with a good friend of mine that lives in Philadelphia.
Excellent. Great. So, Information.
Yeah.
So. We're gonna try to keep it the same for all three candidates, so that we stay.
We're new at this.
Yeah. Even
I'm
on,
not in.
well, I'm not, I haven't actually gone through this process in years, so well, this is, you know, they set a policy before I actually got to put my name on, so. This, I'm learning with y'all
Yeah.
on this one. So, no, so
What's his question?
what's your question?
What's John's question?
Yeah. Sure, we'll let her determine.
I believe he said something about working for the state gambling control board or
Yes.
something like that.
You can ask a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Okay, so my only
Microphone.
question on that was, excuse me, my only question on that, and I don't know that it would matter, so I have a question on it, is, as you're aware, you know, we will be having a casino probably opening here in the area in town. And if at any time the city council has to hear anything regarding negotiations with them or anything, would that be any kind of a conflict?
There wouldn't be, I've already checked with my legal, my attorney as well, the chief counsel, and multiple attorneys at the California Animal Control Commission. I've got two options, in my position, since I'm a technical, I'm over IT. I don't get involved in the Gambling Control Commission's negotiation side. And as a matter of fact, neither does the California Gambling Control. It's the negotiations with the tribes happen at the governor's office. There's a tribal advisor that negotiates all the contracts with the tribes at that level. And the commission, there might be some legal issues, but that's part of the legal shop. I'm not involved in any of those issues. If there is an issue that I feel that I would feel that could potentially cause some kind of conflict, I would recuse myself.
Yeah.
Our attorney would probably request a
FPCC,
an FPC
yeah,
letter.
determination.
Yeah, so, and that was my only concern in asking that is, there could potentially, and this might not ever happen, but there could potentially be votes that come down that could be close and trouble deciding on some of those things. If it was a 2-2 and we don't have a fifth person here, if somebody has to recuse himself or something. And I could see potentially, and it might not happen, but I could potentially see there being, you know, a lot of council discussion in the future or agenda items regarding dealing, you know, or negotiations or dealing with if a casino is built. So that would just was why I was asking. And I appreciate your answer.
Yeah, I don't, personally, I don't foresee an issue with it. I've been with the commission for 22 years, going on 23 years, and I've never been part of any discussions internally regarding any tribal issues like that. I just make sure their systems are up and running, and I focus on more of the cybersecurity side of it and the IT side of it, the policy at a higher state level.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? Based on his letter, sorry, in your letter, it said you had attended several meetings regarding with the BIA and commission and those types of things. So what was your role in those meetings? I'm a little confused based on the letter.
So I have attended probably nearly 1,000 public meetings, from a technical perspective. I've also been involved in just making sure that those meetings are online, they're working correctly. I've had some technical questions before from internal staff, but they're really related to technical activities. But nothing pertaining like tribal negotiations or anything like that matter. The commission doesn't even do that itself, so it's all done at the government level.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Now we're gonna start the process, and I'll start the questions, and then we're gonna work this way around like we do for the roll call.
Want me to go first?
No, I'll go first and then,
Oh,
now go to you and then over. That's okay. Doesn't really matter if you want to start.
No,
You go. So I want to go right, start off the gate, kind of, but just what we were talking about. Are you, as you might be aware, the band of Miwok Indians have been talking about the casino for some time. Tell us your opinion on that. And,
So it's, from my experience, there over the last 22 years, so there have been many cities that have got into litigation with a lot of other tribes, and eventually the tribes ended up building a casino anyways. So I think working with them would be the best approach, trying to come to a common ground. Finding what's best for the city, for the people here and implement. Just coming to a mutual understanding, looking at all the economic impacts, looking at economic development, looking at housing, affordable housing, traffic, land use, public services, all those things should be considered. I mean, at this point, the negotiation, I would presume, I haven't looked at their compact, something should have already been done through the governor's office at the state level. The city in itself can have a role or reach out to the tribal negotiator for the governor's office and ask for certain things, or try to be part of that process. So am I against it? No, I'm kind of neutral on it. I think whatever is best for the city should happen.
thank you. My next question will be, how would you ensure that the needs of all citizens are represented on the city council?
I believe that having a public open forum, allowing every citizen, allowing at least everyone to come up and including them in the process. There's a diverse population here in Plymouth, and I feel like they all should be represented. Our voices are their voices. So including them, having town hall meetings, depending on the issues, allowing public inputs, public comments, educating them, perhaps even doing educational videos to share with all of them, ensuring that all of them have enough say or on their particular issues before, and we have, as a council, we would have all the information that we can before making that decision. Sometimes it can get to the point where we can make the best decision with the information that we have before us. And at the end of the day, I would feel good about that, as long as we vetted the issue with the community and tackle all of the avenues that we can.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Hi Jacob, thanks for coming out and putting in a letter of interest. My first question would be, what made you choose to put in a letter of interest versus running during the election?
I thought about running, but it was too late. And I said, it's fine, I'll do it again in 40 years. I'll be closer to retiring, and then I'll run then. But then this came up and I said, well, I thought about it for about a couple of weeks, and I still was on the fence about it, and I said, you know what, I think this might work. I really love where the city is at this point. I think there's a huge crossover. I think my experience, particularly in government and in business, I think could be of use. From County PA, that's where I started with the Air Resources Board, and then moved on to the Consumer Affairs, and then now with the California Government Control Commission. Knowing all the rules and SLU, which is HCD, and different land uses, housing, all of that, I felt that this would be a good opportunity to at least try. And I'm always at the point, like I know in everything in life, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, if it's not, it's not.
That's fair. Okay, my second question is, on the other side of this. City council requires a significant time commitment, usually 2 meetings per month, participation on committees, attendance on occasional events, as well as reading prep for prior meetings. How do you feel like this will fit in with your life commitments, and do you feel like you can be committed to being here for meetings and things of that nature?
Absolutely, I've got plenty of time, particularly on Tuesday and, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days a week, I'm fairly open, even the first 3 days off, I can make it work. I split with children with my wife, my ex-wife, which lives in Mather. And, I live pretty close by, I'm always on the go, I don't see any issue with that. As far as reading, I'm already reading things from the city, the agendas, I'm always trying to figure out what issues are coming up. What are the angles of some of these issues? So I don't see any issue with prepping for, even before this meeting, I've read through the city's strategic plan just to see what the key issues are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jacob.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in. What is your vision for the future of the city?
Oh, right off the bat, but it's, I don't know if it's getting attainable. I mean, I'd love to see Plymouth look like Cedar Creek. Just continued, obviously, I would love to the character of Plymouth to remain as it is. I know that there are, with the casino coming on board in 26, that will change some things around, probably increase traffic, safety could be an issue, public services, all of those could be an issue. But I feel like it can also be leveraged to a good of the city as well, just because Cedar Creek does not have a casino. And it can be a destination for a lot of different demographics from other areas. Tourism is a huge economic boost here, because there's a tasting in the wine industry, and so if that could be somehow parlayed or tied into that to bring more business to them, I think that'll be awesome.
Thank you. And what do you believe is the role of the city council in our community?
To be the voices of the people. We're here to represent people. We are here to ask questions, the right questions. We're here to ask a lot of questions, to represent the people, to educate them, to make the decisions in the best interest of the people of Plymouth.
Thank you. Done.
Since I basically already asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since I was not on there, I would wait.
There's some stuff that was answered.
Yeah, actually a couple things, actually a couple things on here you basically already answered. What's your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues?
So I've attended a lot of meetings with controversial issues with, the police had to be present many times for some of those meetings. I feel like allowing everyone to be heard and to feel heard is key. finding a common ground, there's always a middle ground somewhere. I think is very important, and, having town hall meetings, having as much information about the particular issue with the city, with the public, I feel is very important. I feel that, again, involving as many people as possible, town hall meetings, more information, educational meetings, educational videos, website things, it's just a lot of, as much as information, as much as input that the city council can receive from the public to allow it to make an objective decision, I think is key. And make the right choice for the city.
Okay, thank you. A couple of these he's already answered. One here, so I'll see. Is my first question. That's, yeah. That's nine, the Chris Baker answered in. Yeah. Are you familiar with the various laws and regulations that apply to municipal government?
Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Are you familiar with the various laws, regulations that apply to municipal governments, like?
Yes, like the Brown Act.
Brown Act.
Back in the
Yes.
yes, I am, attending hundreds of meetings, open public meetings, I'm very familiar with, all of the constraints and restrictions that apply, from forums to, communication amongst the council members on matters that should be held in front of the public.
Very good. Thank you.
So that kind of concludes the interview. It's nice to meet you. You know, I've seen you, I commend you for coming to the meetings and you know, I didn't know who you were. I addressed you at the last meeting. And it's good to see, and I encourage you, however this goes, stay involved and be involved. And actually in 2 years, there'll be another chance to run. So whatever happens here happens, but I mean, we need people involved and it's really important. And you know, so I really appreciate you engaging.
The honor help in any way possible.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jacob.
So do you want to take a 5-minute recess?
Margaret, do all the candidates like hang out or come back later tonight after we see?
So yeah, hold on.
They can hang out and come back. Geeks is at the 45 and then
Rusty,
and then Rusty will be at 5:30.
8:15.
At 8:15 and then the last one should,
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
and right, but he'll end theoretically
At third, at half after.
At
at
8:30.
8:45.
8:30, 8:45, and then you guys at that time can deliberate and make your sure. So if you want to tell them to come back, that would be a time, would be 8:45. For you to discuss, and they can all be here for that discussion
Correct.
and
If they choose to.
Right, so if you choose to come back, if you'd like to come back at 8:45, we'll have discussion.
Well, we're going a little fast. We may make it like 8:30 or so. We're.
Yeah, I mean,
running ahead of schedule.
yeah, we might run right through it, so,
Oh,
or online, because we're broadcasting.
okay,
Okay.
so.
I think so.
I'd say 8:30.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere there. And if not, just kind of hang in the vestibule or whatever. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I would much rather set up
Um,
camera right now still?
Yes, we are. Are we on
What?
pause?
no,
Okay.
we took public comment, but I don't see why we can't take public comment. Before you deliberate, you should take public
Start out with 5 questions that are outside of the questions you'll be asked from each council member. It's just kind of to get to know you. Oh, we are trying to know you. But because we have to do it for one, we have to do it for all. So state your name, please.
My name is Keith White.
How long have you lived in Plymouth?
I have lived in Plymouth for 16 years.
And your work?
My work is I am the manager of Safeguard Pest Control.
And your community involvement in organizations?
Community involvement organization, I've been involved, well, now my children are not youth anymore, but I've been in motherhood, involvement with motherhood, soccer league, softball leagues. Most of my background is dealt with agricultural, so I've been 4-H leaders, FFA leaders, JLAC, part of the committee, JLAC, I was part of Ag Boosters, at one point I was Ag Boosters president, so most of my community involvement is going to be towards our youth. In mentoring about it.
Excellent. And what are your plans to reside in Plymouth?
Yes, I plan on residing here for a very, very long time. Yeah.
With that being said, we'll move on to the question. The interview proper. So I'm gonna start out with, as you might be aware, the Iowa band, the Miwok Indians, have been talking about building a casino, which this was an older question, but again, for some time. Tell us your opinion on it.
Okay. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna break this one down quite a bit.
You can do what you want to do.
And to Councilmember Nunn and Holger, you don't know me as well as the other 2 council members do. 8 years ago, when I ran for city council the first time, there was, I don't want to say rumors, but there was opinions and different ideas of my relationship with the tribe. So I really want to state on record my relationship with the tribe. Comes down to this. You asked me if I want a casino in Plymouth. I don't want a casino in Plymouth. Who would want a casino in their hometown? That's a crazy question to ask. But we are at the point where that question, that's irrelevant. I have a dad who has a gambling addiction. Well, I don't want that here for him. And I have my own things. I don't gamble myself. But I come from the idea of if I own something, I need to do what I believe with what I own. I understand falling into the rules and everything else. Oh, that's a moot point now. Ground's broken. We can't control what we have. The other point of that is the ground is broken in the county. Yes, they have roads coming up to our roads and they own the hotel and they own those things. But the casino itself is in the county. They don't really have to talk to us. I like them to talk to us. I mean, very much about playing nice with people. And as Councilmember Cranford and Councilmember Anderson, I'm going to point out point blank stuff like that. Besides the playing nice, I've known you for what, 30 years, 25 years. Our families have known each other longer than that. I've known the Dutchke family my whole life. But I grew up with Sarah Dutchke. Grew up with Jeremy Dutchke. Karen is a mother figure to me. I do have a good relationship with them. And these are statements that I have told them myself. You know, that no, I don't want a casino, but I can't stop a casino. So now I need to be friendly and we need to figure this out. And we need to figure out how to work as a team on this. So that's my viewpoint on the casino itself, as far as that goes. I was on the ad hoc committee for the initial talks with the casino, so there is a relationship there.
All right, thank you very much. How would you ensure that the needs of all the citizens are represented on the city council?
That is a tough question, and The reason I say that is a tough question, because you're not gonna satisfy the needs of every constituent out there. But sometimes you gotta look at what's best for the city itself. You can satisfy, you definitely wanna look at the percentage and how the percentage thinks. You know, I mean, if you have 70% of your city that's saying, there's no way in hell I want this, and excuse me, I talk in colorful.
We're fine.
Yes, then chances are you need to listen to what they're saying. But if you have 10 members of the community and, you know, and you're going, this is best for the city, you're gonna have to, and they're not against where you believe, you're gonna have to go against some of your constituents' wishes, and that's just the name of the game. You're not gonna please everyone.
So I asked the other candidates, I'm gonna ask you the same thing. Why didn't you choose to run versus putting in a letter of interest? I know when we spoke, you were,
There's a couple reasons why. And let's say in my personal life, this has been a year, and this is a year of non-absolutes. Being on this council is about top priority service to your community, service to others. When Councilmember McLaughlin resigned, and like I did say before in our meeting, on my last meeting, I had a lot of respect. I worked very well with Councilmember McLaughlin. I looked at, no disrespect to the 3 new council members, but there's a lot of growth that's gonna have to happen. And part of that, I went, wow, there could be some mentoring in that, which is service. And I also just said, you know, I think I still have a lot I can offer the city. One of my big things why I didn't run is I do believe in term limits. I can tell you that if I was appointed to this spot, chances are I wouldn't run again. I've served our community for 8 years. But at this time, because of the situation and what has happened, I just think I could be a good fit to get us, you know, I think change is good. Don't get me wrong. I've said that for years. You know, we've had council members that have been on this council for decades. And I do believe change is good. So I don't want to be that guy in 10 years that you're going, man, I wish Keith, you know, wouldn't run or whatever.
okay, for my second question. I know the answer to several of these questions from you, so I'm gonna just ask one that I'm not sure of. Which is, what is your vision for the future of the city of Plymouth?
We're gonna have to do some real out of the box thinking. 8 years ago, I ran on a campaign that was, I thought we were on the cusp of greatness. This Main Street, I look at, we'll put Cameron's business. That was thinking out of the box. What are we gonna do with an old bank? Well, sell firearms out of it. That it seems like it's working perfect, and I hope nothing ever happens to it. But to get these buildings built and to bring some light to our Main Street, we have to start thinking out of the box. I will say in the years that I've been on council, I've seen that the city has stepped up and done things that we didn't normally have, like the Sound of September, the pop-up stores. It's trying something. Maybe some of it works, maybe some of it doesn't, but we have to definitely think outside the box as far as that goes. So I would like to see Main Street become a little bit more lively, I would say.
Thank you. And by the way, thanks for putting in a letter of interest and being here.
Well, Wendy, still my question.
Sorry. Fair enough.
Does that?
I'm switching it up. Just because some of these questions I would like to know on a personal level as well. Let's start with this one. Do you have any personal, business, or professional relationships that could become a conflict of interest while serving as a city council member?
No.
Good answer.
I don't have a lot of money, so you know, I can build big relationships.
I think we're all in the same space.
That's what we're hearing. Yeah, the paycheck.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Based on what you know about Plymouth and city government, what do you see as top priorities for the city and why?
We have to get, of course, our law enforcement contract settled. We have to figure out what's going on with our municipalities. That's a number one. You know, of course, and especially with the other statement that I made about casinos, those are definitely two things that, I mean, we gotta dive into. You know, small business is the backbone of any community. I've always felt that way. Like I said, if we could figure out ways to get some of this stuff on Main Street rented, that's another big priority. And I'm still always I'm gonna add a third, focused on what can we do for the youth? I think Wendy can agree with me growing, and I'm a Fiddletown kid, and I hate to say Fiddletown always gets adopted by Plymouth, and so we run amok. I swam in that pool babysitted me when I was a kid down there, and you know, skateboarded at the school and all that good stuff when I was a kid, but anything that can develop our youth into our future leaders, you know, I'm so supportive of, and any kind of club that way, I really, you know, as a city, when we can support support those things. While I was on council, the rodeo, was always great. We'd come in every year, and I understand he just came in recently, and that product makes good kids. You know, why would we not? I mean, I understand we have to have the money to support something, but that product makes good kids. So I always have felt that was an important thing. So I guess that's the best way I can answer that question.
No, appreciate it. And I also appreciate you, you know, putting in your letter of interest straight away on December 18th. So thank you. I commend you.
What's your approach to handling controversial issues?
You know, the biggest part about the controversial issues that I experienced on council is don't go to social media. If you can meet with a person face to face, this is the best form, in my opinion, of getting the truth, getting personality. You know, I don't want all of us to agree. That would be so boring. That would be so horrible. I want to know each person's viewpoint. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you, but that means that I've heard your viewpoint. And you know what? Sometimes I've always looked at council meetings maybe differently than most. I get my packet, I go through my packet, and I read my packet and go, okay, this is how I think of it. And I can't believe how many times my mind was changed by the time I got up on the diocese and I had to vote for it. Because you did hear the other opinion in that human interaction.
Okay.
Oh. Rusty? Can you wait outside just because you're supposed to be here 15 after?
Okay, I was
No problem.
I didn't.
You guys pretty much get it all in.
Go on.
All right. You finish up with that one?
What's that?
Yeah, question you're thinking, okay. So you're the guy who goes last all the time. Some of these questions we kind of know because you've been on the council.
You can go first, okay?
I know that.
Well, I know that, yeah, I know a lot of this because you were on the council for so long and following us on the council so far. But obviously you know the regulations and codes.
Yeah, don't talk to two of you. That's
What did
that's
you
the
say?
big one. Don't talk to two of you. Yeah, that's a.
No, you understand the time commitment.
I mean, I don't know, you don't have to ask two questions, right?
No, you don't have to.
If you feel.
Well, there's,
It's just kind of guideline.
so I'll go ahead and ask anyway, what skills, knowledge and experience, we know the experience you have that you believe would be beneficial to you as a council member?
You know, when I put my letter of interest in and I looked at it, there's really nothing on this. And I don't ever wanna come off as arrogant, I don't ever wanna come off as thinking, oh, I'm gonna shoot in for this, cause I don't believe that I am, like I said earlier in the interview, I believe in change. But now that we're in the interview, of course, I know it, I was mayor the following year. If you wanna know what makes sweat go down your forehead and, makes you stay awake at night, just be mayor during those 2 years and I think that statement alone is a lot on how the things I can, already being on council, one of the things that I think makes me qualified for the council, of course, the 8 years that I served as a council member. But just love and respect for our community. You know, I don't know how many times I had to say this during that time. We all have opinions and we all have differences, and sometimes we're spat with each other, and sometimes you have constituents that you're going, oh, great, now we gotta hear. And I've said multiple times, everyone deserves a voice. You know, we have to hear that voice. So I think that's probably one of the biggest factors I think I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that kind of concludes, I don't know. Thank you again for.
Right, do I need to do a
Time
closing
is-
statement?
What?
Do I need to do a closing?
Closing statement.
You can do it, yeah, totally.
I would like to say thank you for the interview process. I'd also like to say, I'm sorry that you guys got stuck in a position like this in your second meeting. It has put you guys in an extremely tough position, but I will say, looking at the letters of interest, I don't think you can go wrong with any of the 3 candidates. So that is the biggest blessing that you had. Because that would be extremely, and I'm super excited that 3 people did put in for it. I think that's very, very cool, and I hope that, you know, whatever comes down the road, that they'll run throughout this. There's nothing like a good campaign, you know, so that's basically all I have to say. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith.
Thank you, thank you for running.
He can be in here, cause he's already been interviewed, doesn't matter, isn't it?
I don't wanna put any pressure on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come back, yeah, that's fine. Okay. No big deal.
Otherwise, you know, they can come in too. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Yes, he can come. Jeez.
We're gonna stand up for a few minutes. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Well, thank you very much. So we'll start out with 5 questions. It's just the questions, kind of get general knowledge of you. You know, you read your letters and kind of get all that stuff's in there, but some come from up with, then we all kind of collectively came up with questions that are outside the 2 questions we're gonna ask you off our list.
Sounds good.
But, you know, we're not doing anything. So first start with your name
Rusty Felina,
and how long you've lived in Plymouth
just about 20 years.
and your work.
I've worked here all my life, since 1983, and I was an 84 graduate at Amador High.
Oh, we need to.
Oh, yeah, turn on your
Mike.
mic, please. Thank you.
So I'm a 1984 graduate at Amador High School, and I've worked in Shenandoah Valley since 1983.
Community involvement and organizations that you've been involved with? I mean, anywhere, everywhere, I mean, not just. it doesn't have to be
Well,
specific.
from day one, it's 4-H and FFA. Further than that, it's been Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. I was assistant chief or assistant scoutmaster for Troop 63 in Sutter Creek. I was also den chief or den for Pack 63. And then from that, I've been part of Native Sons for a little bit, but I also founded in 2004 a nonprofit, Rubicon Trail Foundation. I was one of the founding board members of that, which is a 501c3, help preserve the Rubicon Trail in El Dorado County.
Thank you very much.
There's been several other things too. I'm currently, I've been part of the Legion in El Dorado County. The reason I do that is because of Jeepers Jamboree, and we're Sons of the Legion, and we're providing meals for veterans.
Excellent. So that was kind of those questions.
Okay.
So now we're gonna get into the meat. So let's start off with, as you might be aware, the Island Band Indians have been talking about building a casino for some time. Tell us your opinion on that.
Well, it's been a long time. My opinion on that is trying to control and mitigate what you can. I know there's been several arguments and long battles with trying to prevent the casino. It looks like now they've gotten approval because I see dirt being pushed and everything's moving ahead. So what I consider them is trying to be good neighbors as best we can. I know they can't, I know they don't have to honor agreements and whatnot, but they're gonna be part of the community, it looks like, if they become one. And we should try to get some good out of them if we can.
All right, very good. And then, how would you ensure that the needs of all the citizens are represented on city council?
Well, talking to them, listening to them. You know, if appointed, I would have to go around and introduce myself to people that maybe don't know me. My wife grew up here in this town. And we do know a fair amount of people here, but I would like to figure out a way to let them know who I am. Let them know how they can get a hold of me if they have issues or whatnot. You know? Get out and ask.
That's fair. Right, I'm gonna go with Don this time, because he wants to go first.
Oh, don't give me any,
Change it up on us.
Switch it up.
yeah, well, like, give me a second. These are called audible. Do you have any personal business, oh, excuse me, do you have any personal business or professional relationships that could become a conflict of interest while serving on the council?
No, no, I don't.
No, okay. And based on what you know about Plymouth and city government, what do you see as the top priorities for the city and why?
From my point of view, is involvement for kids. Infrastructure in the town. Basically, the plumbing and electrical that makes this town work. Seeing good growth happen. Not necessarily controlled growth, but good growth that can benefit the community.
and also others that live just outside the community. Where we live at a gateway to the wine country, one of them, and it'd be nice to get somehow work out where it could be a beneficial partner, you know, help out Plymouth. And, you know, we see Main Street how it is with Beth not being here, lost a huge anchor on Main Street now. Thomas is no longer here and whatnot. It'd be nice to see these buildings occupied again, get some people here in town. They're out there. We just gotta get them in here.
Thank you.
Okay, last one. Almost one. Let's see, last one. Get that.
Hi, Rusty. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Let's switch it up.
What is your vision for the future of the city? Like, where do you see us going as far as anything growth or?
Vision for the city would be to get the empty buildings here on Main Street filled. Get some businesses, get some tax dollars coming back through this town. Vision would be to have, if we can have affordable housing, get some affordable housing. Fix up the streets, just kind of give it a good uplift, and then reinforce the parks. The kids have something to do with, and then try and get some youth programs in this town. When I was here as a youth, we used to come down, I grew up outside of town. We'd come down for wrestling, baseball, all that kind of stuff was right here in town. I used to sidestep a motorcycle down here, my old dirt bike to come into town to go swimming and stuff. So
Nice.
to try and get that going again and would be great.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What skills, knowledge, and experience do you have that you believe would be beneficial to you as a council member?
A lot of years dealing with the US Forest Service. Through all their legal documents and NEPA and CEQA and all that end of it. I know Forest Service, City of Plymouth isn't exactly the same, but there's a lot of the same processes that happen. I've dealt with Placer County Board of Supervisors and also El Dorado County Board of Supervisors. So going to meetings, working with them on planning and various things like that all over our 13-mile stretch of dirt that we're trying to keep.
All right, thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's all you.
Hey, Rusty. Thank you for putting in a letter of interest and being here tonight.
You're welcome.
What is your approach to handling a controversial or complicated issue?
Being able to talk with both parties. I think without talking, then all you have is anger. And so if you can get parties to talk, I think that's huge, because without talking, everybody's. And then you get them at the same table. I have pretty much a rule for a long time. If it goes past 3 emails, we're gonna sit down and talk about it. Goes past a few texts, we're gonna sit down, and try and hammer this thing out. Dealing in the world I dealt with off-road stuff, you deal with a lot of type A personalities. And we over the years, I found out if we can get them at a table and they still might not like each other, but we can usually get a good outcome that's, yeah, everybody can agree on. So, yeah, it's a lot of talk and a lot of communication. So I think communication's key.
Okay, and then I asked this question to the other two candidates, so I'm gonna be fair and ask it to you, although I think I know your answer. Why did you choose to running during the election?
That's a good one. I just got my son off to college, not college, but trade school. It seems like the time is right. It's a way that
maybe I can help and see what goes on and be able to help out. And before that, for about running and whatnot, I had to get him through. And I had family issues in my day job. Now I'm retired from Rubicon Trail Foundation. And I'm retired from scouting after a long time. And so now I have time that I can dedicate something to, because if you just say, yeah, I can show up, and if your body's sitting in the room, then what good are you? If you don't have the time to work at it and read and do your research, come to meetings, do whatever, then why do it? You know, so there's only so much you can do, and so now I have less on my plate, so I figured this worked out to be a good time to write that letter and see if I can get of interest to do this job.
Thank you.
Very good. And do you have any closing statements? I mean, anything you'd like to?
No, I mean.
Freely talk about with us?
Like I said, you know, I've been here 20 years in town itself. Before that, my wife grew up behind the fairgrounds. She's a lifelong resident of Plymouth. My son's grown up here. It's been a great town. It's been good to us, so I think it's time that we can afford to give back a little bit. That's about it. So any questions? You guys have my phone number and you can always reach out. I mean, literally 5 houses right behind Dave's. So we don't move around too much. Good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for being
You're
here
more than
today.
welcome. Yes.
Thank you for putting in the letter of interest.
Yeah.
Just thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think we're gonna, is this where we,
Public comment again?
yeah,
Anyone have any public comment?
and now you can just hang out, Rusty, if you want, right? Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be great, thank you.
Property owner in Plymouth, resident, Brett Branch, longtime resident. I grew up here. My children grew up here, and now my grandkids are growing up here. Had 3 candidates tonight. From my perspective, based on what I've heard and what I know, I believe there's an obvious choice for you to make. You have one candidate who chose not to run the last election. Well, Keith is a fine man. I would not reappoint him to the city council. That's my choice. Jacob, on the other hand, you better be real careful and real cautious. I read his letter. Alarm bells went off. I mean, he made it sound like that he didn't have anything to do with tribes. From his own letter. Over the past 20 of these years, I've been spent working with Indian tribes on casino-related matters for the CGCC and the TMGF. This includes collaborating with Governors Wilson Davis, Schwarzenegger, Brown, and Newsom on tribal compact negotiations. Also worked closely with the Bureau of Indian Affairs and on tribal and legal issues, developing a nuanced understanding of federal what? I've been dealing with BIA and tribal issues and legal issues for more than 20 years as well. And I'm familiar with the nuanced interpretations that come forth from these. You should know also that the compacts that are negotiated in California with all of those governors and apparently with Jacob, they are considered among the worst in the United States. There is nothing in the state compact for local or county governments, nothing. You interviewed a person tonight who claims to have negotiated and been a part of those tribal compacts. If he was interested in local communities or county communities, there would be something in those compacts for communities. On the other hand, Rusty look at his resume. All of his service, I believe he has a servant's heart. All of his service is local. It's local. So if I were sitting on this council, and I'm not, the choice is obvious to me as to who should be appointed. I would hope that tonight you would appoint Rusty. Thank you.
So it's at the council's wish at this point, in which direction we want to go. We know we have several directions we can go from this juncture.
Margaret, do you wanna go over those one more time?
You have the option to discuss the candidates and you can discuss them and not make a decision and request to hold a special meeting on the 30th. You can discuss the candidates and have the meeting, have the discussion further taken to the meeting on February 13th. You can discuss the candidates and make an appointment tonight. In order to make an appointment tonight, you would have to take nominations or a nomination. And you can have as many and up to 3 nominations. You would take the you would take the vote in order of the nominations.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Let's say we have a discussion and we aren't aligning. That's okay.
You're done.
You're 5 minutes.
Here's what is that?
And we aren't aligning on a candidate. Then does that immediately mean that we have to push to a special election? Or does that mean that we still could recess for tonight? Like, let's say we have a discussion and it seems like we're struggling to make a decision. Then if that happens, instead of making the decision tonight, we could say, okay, let's go ahead and recess this and push it to the January 30th, giving us time to consider in an attempt to avoid the special election
Yes, you can do that.
process. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that by having a discussion, that didn't force us into having to make a decision.
No, you can have, as long as discussion as you need to have, you can make nominations. You can not come to a conclusion after nominations
Okay,
and then push the discussion out to a further meeting.
okay.
Pretty good. Yeah, personally, I have, a few issues going on with, whole process. Is I wasn't expecting to vote tonight. I thought we had kind of agreed on, we were going to meet on the 30th. And I can tell you that I really want to have some time to consider, look at my notes, consider all the candidates that spoke tonight. And I'm not ready to make a decision on that. I also feel somewhat conflicted. I know a lot of the people in the community, we talked, people talked about this again, aren't happy with the way we're handling this. I think it was different with the treasurer thing because the community had voted to move forward in the future with appointments there. So I'm still kind of trying to decide and wanting to. I know no matter what, I'm not ready to vote on any of the candidates tonight. But I need time to think about all this.
Well, on what you said about how it's been handled, it's historically how we've done it. This is how we've done it for years and years and years. This is not a new process. And this is how our policy and code is set up. So going straight into an election, are using that as a guise to, not work through the cheaper side of this by, why being fiscally responsible to our citizens again, not spending money just to spend it. And, is it, again, and the voice of a few doesn't constitute, the man.
I mean, I move either way, to be honest with you, but I
Yeah, me too, I mean.
want to respect his wishes.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I'm
not
also
also me.
completely fine with postponing and tabling to the 30th.
Yeah.
To make a sound judgment.
Yeah, I wanna just piggyback on that, as a new council, we're being handed quite a responsibility.
Exactly.
And so I think that when this was presented to us, I agree with Don and I wanna just support him in that, what he's saying, that we were told January 30th would be the time to make this election. So going into the tonight, I also did not know we would be making this election tonight, or that was even a possibility. I had no idea till I got here. So that it speaks to maybe us being green at this, but I certainly would not wanna pressure one of my fellow council members into making a decision about something that they're not ready to make a decision about at this time.
Yeah, I would agree.
Second to that, I do wanna acknowledge and say that while this policy has been in place and I do not have a problem with the appointment process, I do understand the feeling of being conflicted as a new council member, just getting elected and then essentially making a decision to where you're having to appoint somebody versus letting the people decide on a 2-year term. So I personally am a fiscally conservative person, have no problem saying that on the record. I do not want to spend the money for a special election if it's not necessary. But I can also understand anybody who feels frustrated by that process. So, just to share that's, I just wanna acknowledge the community members that are concerned about it not being an election process. However, I also wanna say to those community members, hopefully you voted for us in hopes that you could trust us to make sound decisions, not just on this, but on other decisions. So, yeah, it's a not a great place to be in as a new council member to have to go through this process, but yet here we are. So, I think that's sums it up for me, that I'm totally fine waiting till the 30th, since that was what was put forth to us. And it really was I was completely under the impression that was gonna be the process until I arrived tonight and was told that we could make a decision. I personally know for myself who I would nominate at this point, but I can hold that till January 30th.
Yeah, I want like a little bit more, my feelings, I understand the policy place for a long time. And one thing people have been, I too very fiscally conservative on things, want to be responsible on things. The one thing I've had a lot of people bring up is, well, we appointed Peter last year, and I think that's comparing apples to oranges, because with Peter, it was 10 or 11 months, and it wouldn't have made sense in anybody's mind to have gone to an election, because by the time you did that, there would have been 6 months left to serve on the term probably.
Yeah.
And we're talking here, even if it goes to an election, you're talking still 1.5 years on the term. And so my conflict is this is for me personally, even without people in the community saying it to me, is I kind of feel like, who runs the city or the state or the federal government, that should be a person who's elected by popular vote, and so I understand that, there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying that I won't go forward with that process. I went tonight, but the other council members, there's 3 of you, if you guys wanted to go forward tonight, then for tonight, I feel like I need more time to absorb all this, look at the candidates and look at my notes. Because I'm not totally sure if I was to go along with who I would nominate or go with. So, if we take it to a vote tonight, I would probably just abstain on the vote.
That's fair. And again, I'm with Wendy. There's no reason to put pressure on anyone. We come back to the 29th and you can make that decision.
30.
Or 30th, sorry.
Just to give the council some other background, I did check with the other cities in the county. All the other cities in the council in the county also appoint for a
Vacancy.
unexpected vacancy. You still have the right to discuss tonight, even if you don't make an appointment tonight, so you could have your fellow council members' points of view before you go home and think about the interviews themselves. That's also an option that you can do before you adjourn. Those are options that you have.
I think that might be wise to have some discussion. If
Well,
we're gonna marinate on it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a visual.
But I also don't know that, and I don't wanna speak for Don, but if I'm not even sure and I wanna look at my notes and everything, I wouldn't be comfortable talking freely about everyone right now, if that makes sense.
I think we're here to make everyone comfortable in the process, and if that's the way you feel, I think we're taking Don's brothers into consideration. We look at all council members and how they feel, so everyone, at the end of the day, when we come back together, everyone feels like.
Yeah, I already put the 30th on my calendar, on my phone.
Yeah, I would say that I'm all for having discussions about the candidates tonight, because it's nice to do it when it's all fresh in our memory after that. And I also have a little bit of concern. Well, yeah, I think we should have some discussion for a little while here. If that's what you guys want.
You should kick it off.
Yeah. All right, I personally, I kind of impressed with all 3 of the candidates. I feel that all 3 are good candidates. And so I think that it's a hard decision to make, they all bring something to it, they all bring a lot to the city, to the council. So, I've had some concerns. We addressed one of those concerns with one candidate right here, and kind of going back and forth on it. I do feel, we had a candidate who did just serve 8 years, and I think did a great job in that 8 years, was a good council member, but I also kind of agree with the person himself that I also kind of believe in term limits. I look at these people, especially in the federal government, and like, this is ridiculous. I think that, one term, maybe not, but 2 terms, anything, I kind of always feel like then you should give somebody else a chance, or get new blood in there. So those are some of the things, the concerns I've had.
Sometimes it's like pulling teeth to find people who.
Oh, exactly, yeah, exactly, that's why I think that,
It's not always that easy.
that's why I think, I was kind of surprised we had so much interest.
Yeah.
And I had kind of assumed, well, there might just be one person, so whether we take it to a vote or not was gonna be a moot point, I just lucky to have one, so.
Let me ask you this, are you comfortable with the appointment? Or is the fact of a special election even a feasibility with you? Like, are there other things that we need to discuss besides the candidates?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm not dead set against doing it by appointment. I'm trying to be open-minded about it and go with, what everybody else is. I have an issue with everybody bringing up that it's such a big deal to spend $11,000 on something that seems to be so important to the people of the city and saying that this is the city policy, yet in our first meeting, we sat right here and voted to spend an additional, to violate a city policy and spend an additional $10,000 in grants. When the city clearly had a policy in place that we weren't supposed to do it.
Well, do you mean the rodeo?
Yeah, if you look, we did a TOT grant fund, and I brought up that I thought we were 15,000 was an excessive amount. And I also said we shouldn't be doing it for 3 years, everybody agreed, and we did it for 1 year. And I said I didn't think we should be going over $5,000. And if you look at the policy, it says not to exceed $5,000. So everybody says we follow our policies, we didn't follow our policy right there.
Margaret, can you confirm or?
The policy is 5,000, but they've not been following that policy for years.
So that's exactly my point, and so I thought, you guys, I actually brought it with me. Somewhere in here, but Margaret confirmed it, so that night, I didn't just, pull $5,000 from nowhere. I knew that was policy,
Did you cite that policy that night?
I don't think I knew the policy numbers, I didn't say it.
But did you say it was policy? I don't remember you saying.
I don't think I said it was policy, I just said I don't think we're supposed to be going over $5,000.
Okay,
I think I said, I don't think we should do. I said, I think $5,000, I think 15 was it. I can't remember it, but I said.
But it's discretionary too.
The council in the past made a decision to allow that grant to specifically go over because I can't remember the reason why, but they specifically stated why they were allowing that grant to go over the policy amount.
But now we're getting in the weeds, so we're kind of getting off.
yeah, but
Yeah, it's
we are,
important,
but
yeah.
we're not,
Yeah.
because Dawn's making an extremely valid point. We bend the policy on one thing and then we're saying we're not gonna bend it on something else.
Well, yeah, everybody's saying we can't, we have to go with policy, and I'm looking back and I'm like, well, why is it, sometimes we have to go with policy and then other times policy doesn't seem to matter.
I personally would like to see the policy.
Who has it?
Well, I wish they would have followed
I have
policy.
it, I have it somewhere in all my notes,
I mean, just for,
I actually had it since that. Talking about the top one.
yes,
Yeah. It does say 5,000.
yeah, no, I don't for clarification.
City council -048. If you look down, oh, right, it's city council policy
Right.
048.
Right.
And if you look down on there, maximum grant request 5,000 per application.
Right, yeah. I appreciate that, thank you.
So that's
No
the
questions,
maximum,
yeah.
okay, so that's a maximum grant request, but is there anything that says there's a maximum grant? Allowance?
I haven't read it.
So
I haven't read it for a
technically, their
little while, so I'd have to read
application
back through
should,
it. Yeah.
technically, their request should have been sent back to them and said
Correct.
$5,000.
You're
Yes.
overstepping,
Yes.
so going forward, we'll make note.
And the only reason I'm bringing that up is it was one of the there was actually another one I thought too, but I couldn't remember what it was tonight when I was grabbing all my stuff. But that was one I knew we clearly didn't follow policy on, so that's why I'm bringing that one up.
Thank you. for doing that.
I guess we'll see everyone on the 29th
Oh,
or
okay.
30th.
We're not, you don't wanna talk about.
No, we can talk,
Any of
yeah.
I mean, I was just going to say regarding the candidates. That all of them bring a skill set to the table, obviously.
Sure.
I personally have some concerns with the possibility of Jacob getting an FPPC letter that does not allow him to have conversations regarding tribal matters. That is a huge concern of mine, based on his letter. And because we don't have a crystal ball, there's no way for us to know. And if he has to recuse himself for some reason, and then there's 4, and there's a 2 and 2, exactly what you were saying earlier, then we're in a pickle. So, no pun intended, that was not on purpose.
Don't think you wanted to go there.
So anyway,
That's how it all started.
I mean, it's just such a good term to use. So anyway, that is a concern I have. Nothing personal, Jacob, but it's just it's an honest concern, and we have to have these discussions. Yeah, like Keith and Rusty I've known for many years. Both of them very good guys. Keith, frankly, I wish you would have let me know you were gonna put in a letter of interest before the night of December 18th.
Didn't know until that night.
Yeah, I know. Oh, you didn't know.
I didn't know until that night.
Oh. But, yeah, I think that Keith, you've done a great job being on city council, and that's, for me, I feel like, you know, 8 years has been a long time for you to serve the community in that way. And I think that you should get the relief at some point of not having to serve in that way. And I think that there's possibility for you to serve in other capacities in office, in other places. And I think being 8 years on city council for sure has set Keith up for that. Rusty brings, Keith obviously brings experience to the table. Rusty brings experience in different ways, from serving on other boards and things like that. I think Rusty has a great resume. And has been a servant to the community, not just within Plymouth, but in Amherst County as a whole. And both of the candidates are very focused on kids, which I think is super important. But the one thing that stood out to me that Rusty said was, if appointed, he was going to make it a point to walk around town or get to know people, introduce himself, make sure people knew how to contact him and be in touch with him. And that alone, to me, set the bar pretty high, because that tells me Rusty wants to listen to the community and the city, the constituents, on what's important to them. So, that's my 2 cents on what we heard tonight.
Yes, I would say I look at all of them bring a lot to the table, like I said before, and I definitely agree with you on, you know, everything. Mr. Felina has really impressive resume here of volunteering and doing things in the youth. I believe he would bring a lot here. I am impressed with Mr. Muscan, but obviously, as we've talked about now, the one concern I do have is if we get the conflict, I don't want to get to, especially something that's been so controversial in this community for so long, where we're stuck with a 2-2 vote on something and not having majority. So it's difficult, because I think they're all great candidates. Yeah. You want to say about, yeah.
I mean, Mr. Hernandez asked me if I have any opinions or if I wanna chew anything over, but I mean, there's so much still for me also to think on, process. Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal, you know, and I don't wanna just come out and make a move and not be 100% certain about whom or what I would want to see in the city, and whom I would want to work with, obviously, as well, right? So, yeah,
I think, again, I can concur with everything, all these, all of us have, been talking about. I think we have three really good candidates, they all have their strong points. They're all really, it's not a slam dunk here for anything or anyone. I've been after Rusty for years to be on council. I've begged him multiple times. Because I think he would be good on council. I think he'd be a great council person. And, I look at it from different ways because it's hard because, he has his strong, they all have their strong points. And, with Keith, obviously having such a junior council, pretty much everyone being on council right now, I think this is the one thing that hasn't been said, is I think Keith brings some wisdom to the council because he has been doing it. I don't want to overlook that fact, that I think the term limits thing came up. It's city council, we're not the state, we're not the feds. This is just a community, and if we have three candidates all trying to come to us and, want to put that time in, I think they all get equal opportunity to be looked at for that reason, not just discluded or discarded because, he's had 8 years and, So I think, to me, we also, it's good to have, because in the past, this is not one of those things that happens very often where you have a council switch so drastically and they have another linchpin in historical knowledge and be able to hit the ground running and, just out the gate without having to learn. And that's so, again, this is where I'm conflicted because again, we have three really good people and I think any one of them could do the job equally as well. So I'm not saying that Keith has the total upper hand in this, I'm just saying that I think that needs to be looked at as part of this process.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing that I think, and I subscribe to the fact that change is good.
Yeah.
Or can be good. But I will reiterate your words, and one of the things, or some of the things I enjoy Keith saying and bringing up is that the mentoring aspect. I think that would be huge to me.
I think we do for all
the fact that he has the history and the knowledge to do the job and, his work on these ad hoc committees, and he's got the time to put in obviously as well. But, anybody will have the time to put in.
Yeah, they will.
As they've expressed.
And I also wanted to say, I'm sorry if I focused on two other people and I didn't mean to shun you. I just don't know you, so I don't have that personal knowledge and that connection, so it makes it harder for me to weigh in on that. I mean, I do, share the sentiments that, with your involvement. Until we, if we were to get, I said it to you earlier, I really encourage with any way this goes to stay involved, keep, be involved, come to our meetings. I mean, we need that community involvement and into 2 years or 4 years. That's always something, and I'm not, again, not discounting the fact of saying that we just need to look at all the, what's happening in the moment today. And what's the next 2 years, and 2 years is not a long time, and again, it's a short term appointment, it's not a full term. 2 years, I'm only be turning 2 years, so, the reality is it's really not that long term. Neither here nor there, it's just to get us to the next election. So that's just, so again, I think you're all great, I think you all have really strong points. I'd like to work with any of you. We should have more spots up here, especially when you got other people who want to do it.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for all coming and putting it in for this. So, is there anything else? Anyone else?
I don't have any further questions or comments.
Wendy?
I don't have any further questions or comments. I just want to thank all three of you for putting in a letter of interest. And I also want to say thanks a lot for putting in a letter. 3 people that, we
qualified people.
The hysterical part of this is, I thought there would be one person on the letter of interest, and that's not the person who put it in. So.
There you go. I think we all thought that.
Yeah.
Just saying. I did that. Alright. So I guess at this point, we'll go to the 30th.
Start at 6 or 6:30?
We were like 6:38, I think, or something, so.
No,
No,
she's saying from 30th.
On 30.
6:30,
Cannot make it sense.
or is there any special needs by the
Yeah,
council members?
if I could bring up, I'm probably gonna be having an issue that day, I'm gonna be coming from a long ways away, from the Bay Area, and, if anything, for me, it's like moving it up a little bit, like
To like
7
7.
o'clock.
7, okay.
at
I mean, it should be
30,
quick
yeah.
anyway, so it's not like it's gonna be a drive, long.
Yeah, cause I'm gonna